Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Futures and Options Dream Big, a celebration of opportunity. This is our first ever live virtual event, and I think we're in for a great time. Before we get started, please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Omar Santos, and I'm a proud first-generation college student at Columbia University and an alum of the Futures and Options internship program. When I was in high school, I worked as a Futures and Options intern at both Morgan Stanley and BlackRock. These experiences inspired me to start my own company. I am currently the Chief Executive Officer of Zoop Capital, a systematic hedge fund based in New York City. I ask myself all the time how a Dominican kid from the Bronx accomplishes all of that. I could credit this to hard work, focus, tenacity, and while those all certainly played a role, if I'm being honest, I was lucky. Lucky to be a curious freshman that put his name down for an info session about this nonprofit on Wall Street called Futures and Options. I can say wholeheartedly that it is because of Futures and Options that I found my calling in life. Futures and Options provided me with the direction I needed. Futures and Options gave me a chance and enabled me to dream big, to shoot for the moon and leverage every opportunity that came my way. I and many other young people would not be here if it were not for the generosity and support of people like you. You all make it possible for me and so many others to dream big. So thank you for your support and for being with us tonight. My online classes at Columbia don't come close to the fun we'll have tonight, so please stick with us for the next hour. Before I introduce our esteemed MC, let me give you a few Zoom tips. First, please make sure your screen is on speaker view. Please use the chat box for shout outs and spread the word. Please tell your friends you're here on social media with the hashtag DreamBig2020 and don't forget to tag us. Now, it is my honor to introduce our MC for the evening, a person I've admired for her journalism, a giant in the world of broadcasting, someone who also had brave and big dreams crashing through multiple glass ceilings, Soledad O'Brien. A Harvard graduate, Soledad O'Brien started her broadcasting career at WXKSFM in Boston as a medical journalist. She has had a fantastic journalism career at NBC, MSNBC, CNN, HBO, Al Jazeera America, and her own production company, Soledad O'Brien Productions. Soledad has covered every topic imaginable, but her moving documentaries, Latino in America and Black in America, and her coverage of immigrants deserve an acknowledgement tonight, along with her personal charity, Power Herful Foundation, that is committed to getting women to and through college. Soledad, thank you for all that you have done and all you are doing for our world. You inspire us all to make a difference. Ladies and gentlemen, please unmute yourselves and join me in welcoming Soledad O'Brien.
Thank you. And thank you, Omar, and everybody. Remember the name Omar Santos, because in the very not distant future, you are going to be telling your friends, you know, I knew the guy when he was a freshman in college. Omar, obviously, you're already a big star and destined to be an even bigger star. And you're proof, frankly, that Futures and Options approach really works. I only recently learned about Futures and Options, and I am just stunned by the organization's truly transformative work in the youth career development area, from college readiness to college guidance. Futures and Options fills a very, very big need and a critical need, providing middle and high school students, primarily young people of color, with opportunities to learn transferable soft skills, explore careers, gain firsthand access to life-changing paid internships. And in this very moment, as we face a trio of challenges, obviously the global COVID pandemic, the resulting economic downturn with high unemployment, and of course, a long overdue racial reckoning, the work of Futures and Options, frankly, is very much needed if we're going to really have an impact on the longstanding racial and economic inequalities in our country. It is Omar Santos and other young people like Omar who are really making the impact and who we are counting on to address these and future challenges as well. Futures and Options provides a roadmap for our talented young people, helping them get the education they need, obviously, making essential professional connections, and then realizing their education and career dreams. The 10,000 plus Graduates of Futures and Options together constitute a light in our country, brightly shining today and well into the future. During our journey tonight, we are going to lift you up and share Futures and Options vision for tomorrow. Also, have a little bit of fun. You're going to get a closer look at the Futures and Options family as we highlight this year's Dream Big honoree, recognize Futures and Options students, and thank each and every one of you for your support and your faith, most importantly, in our city's young people. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Futures and Options.
I am the 2019 Barbell Christen Scholar. Futures and Options to me is a program that allows young people of color, just like me, to discover their career and academic interests.
I always think about how differently my high school career and subsequently my college career would have went if it wasn't for this organization. I think the entire mission of Futures and Options of empowering inner city kids by offering them career development opportunities for free is really special, because those kids, like myself, really wouldn't have gotten access to those sorts of opportunities and resources otherwise.
That is exactly what Futures and Options means to me. It means the ability to dream big and envision myself in settings that for a long time I didn't think that I had a place in.
I wouldn't be where I am today without my involvement with Futures and Options, because they gave me the opportunity to get a head start into the professional world, the opportunity to meet like-minded peers with similar backgrounds as me, and the opportunity to really be able to picture success thanks to the tools that they provided and the skills that they taught us.
This experience has laid the foundation for my continued confidence, success, skill elevation, and corporate knowledge that I possess over a decade later.
I was a high school senior with practically no experience, and I was able to work at Lehman Brothers, sitting side by side with students from Yale and Princeton University.
Through my work with Futures and Options, I still remember shaking hands and for a firm handshake, looking people in their eye. Those skills continue to serve me well.
Futures and Options also allowed me to pick the college of my choice without worrying about the financial burden. I am proud to say that I will be attending Bates College in the fall of 2020, and I will be majoring in economics thanks to the Barbara L. Christen Scholarship.
Once I started transitioning, into college and in my later years of high school, I saw how it really molded me into this young professional mindset that prepared me down the line for other opportunities, endeavors that would lead me to where I am today. And as for the Barbara L. Christen Scholarship, that was really just an opportunity of a lifetime. Besides the fact that it's helping me literally survive in college financially, it's also been a constant motivation, because I know that, people have a stake in my education and they want to see me succeed, and I want to see myself succeed.
To me, Futures and Options means access. It means the ability to dream big. And I hope that they continue to do the amazing work that they do and really empower urban youth like myself.
You help the students even after they leave, and as an alumni, that's one of the things that I'm really proud of.
Futures and Options really encouraged me to reach for the stars. At this point in my career, that foundation that was set through my Futures and Options experience has been extremely important.
It continues to transform the lives of children in New York City.
I felt like Futures and Options did not just help me catch up, but genuinely gave me a head start. Having adults who recognize your potential and encourage you to develop it even further really goes a long way. For that, I am extremely grateful and hope that they can continue to do the same for young people like me.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for celebrating with us tonight. My name is Morolake Thompson, and I am a Futures and Options alum. This past May, I received my MBA from the University of Virginia, and now I work at Google. It is an honor for me to introduce Steve Hessler, the chair of Futures and Options Board of Directors. Steve and I connected with Futures and Options at about the same time. I was a high school junior in the Career Essentials program, and Steve was elected to the board of directors. When Steve joined the Futures and Options Board of Directors in 2008, the organization was serving less than 200 students a year. The board was a small group of committed individuals, and the staff numbered 5 full-time people and 1 intern. Steve saw possibility and promise. He not only started a Kirkland and Ellis internship program, but continues to motivate others to do the same at their firms. Now, in his 10th year as chair of the board of directors, there has been no doubt in how deeply Steve believes in Futures and Options and its mission. Futures and Options has grown tremendously under Steve's exceptional leadership. Last year alone, more than 2,300 students participated in Futures and Options programs. The organization's leadership now includes a board of 28 people and an advisory council of 12, and a junior board of almost 40, of which I am a member. Steve's vision and unique ability to inspire others to reach higher than they believe is possible have propelled Futures and Options forward. And it has been incredible to watch that growth. I graduated from high school in 2010 and participated in Futures and Options programs in my junior and senior years. I have seen the organization develop into one of the most highly respected nonprofits in New York City. It has been a privilege to have been on board to watch Steve Hessler in action. Please join me in welcoming Steve Hessler, the driving spirit of Futures and Options.
Thank you, Omar, and thank you, Morolake. Your extraordinary accomplishments are a tribute to the effectiveness of Futures and Options and its programs. And more importantly, they are a tribute to your intelligence, your drive, your poise, and your savvy. And we are honored by your participation tonight. Thank you also to Soledad. You are incredibly gracious to donate your time and energy to this cause. And we applaud you for being a role model for the young men and women in our programs and beyond. Good evening to everyone out there on Zoom. As previewed, my name is Steve Hessler. I'm the board chair of Futures and Options, and it is my privilege to welcome you to our 10th annual Dream Big, a celebration of opportunity. For the past decade, my opening remarks would highlight another year of record-breaking growth statistics and toss out other applause lines geared towards a packed ballroom. That was always great fun, and we look forward to doing it again next year. But tonight, we have even more reasons to celebrate Futures and Options and everyone involved with it. It is axiomatic by now to state that 2020 has been a year of massive challenges, and we still have 2 more months to go. We have faced, and we are still facing, a cascading series of public health, economic, and cultural crises. These crises have posed an existential threat to nonprofits generally, and especially so to ours. As businesses were forced to go remote or even to shut down, they of course have been unable to offer the paid and mentored internships that are the lifeblood of Futures and Options, threatening our ability to provide the career and life skills training that our students seek and deserve. But our indomitable executive director, Patty Macker, and our exceptional staff, as always, responded by being brilliant and creative and relentless. And they devised and implemented a plan to not only persevere, but actually thrive in these unusual circumstances. With our team working from home and our students learning virtually, our staff immediately reconceptualized the high quality and high touch programming that is the secret sauce of Futures and Options. Career Essentials workshops were moved to Zoom. Alumni engagement efforts ramped up one-on-one counseling. And most significantly, we created the online Futures Academy to replicate the live internship experience as much as possible. Here are the results so far. 93% of our students successfully completed Futures Academy. 100% of seniors in our programs graduated from high school on time, and 98% started college this fall. This experience has been both humbling and inspiring, and the Futures and Options staff deserve more praise and gratitude than we can possibly express tonight. But we will try. At a time when the next generation of New York City's leaders needed your help and your guidance and your dedication, you exceeded all expectations. Thank you for being among the responders who led the path forward. You have earned your rightful place amongst the heroes of 2020. And in the midst of it all, in mid-April, that same indomitable executive director, Patty Macker, was herself diagnosed with coronavirus. As everyone here knows, Futures and Options is a family. And in every respect, Patty is our matriarch. And now our mom was sick too. The existential crisis had hit even closer to home. To the surprise of absolutely no one, like all strong and all great leaders, Patty persevered and she thrived. The following is actually from an email that she sent me on April 20th, about 1 week into her recuperation. And I quote, "Our staff is terrific, and I so appreciate their work to ensure that we are moving ahead in these uncertain times. I'm going to take it slow because I honestly have no choice. This virus is a beast, exclamation point after beast. Nevertheless, I truly believe that I am on the road to a post-COVID existence." Now, this was classic Patty, directing credit elsewhere, fighting hard, and even while sick with a deadly illness, spreading boundless enthusiasm. Patty, we love you, and we are beyond blessed by your recovery. I will close by echoing Patty's very wise and very prescient words. Let's all truly believe we are on the road to a post-COVID existence. Our country, our culture, our organization, and perhaps even ourselves. Hopefully the road to our collective post-COVID existence is an era of unprecedented empowerment, prosperity, and optimism. Futures and Options and tonight's celebration embody this promise. We thank all of you who do so much to advance our mission. To introduce tonight's Dream Big honoree, it is my pleasure to turn the program over to two of my colleagues, fellow directors, and very good friends, Steve Goldstein and Rupesh Shah of Evercore.
You have to unmute yourself, Rupesh.
Sorry, I'll start over. I thought I had done that.
That's okay.
Technical difficulties all around. We're all right. I would say thank you, Steve. I know I speak for both Steve Goldstein and myself when I say it's an honor to work alongside you on behalf of Futures and Options. Each feel deeply connected to the mission, and we're proud to both be a part of Evercore and for its commitment and generous contributions ever since we joined the board of directors. Evercore strives to sustain a strong culture of inclusion that attracts, supports, and empowers diverse individuals. We have consistently hired Futures and Options interns since 2015, providing transformative work experiences to deserving high school students who are eager to explore careers in the finance sector. Tonight it is our privilege to introduce one of Evercore's leaders, our esteemed co-chair and co-CEO, Ralph Schlosstein. It is our honor to present him with the Futures and Options 2020 Dream Big Award. This award recognizes those who are leading the way to empower talented young people to acquire work readiness skills, get exposed to professional pathways, and succeed through higher education. Ralph knows the value of hard work, determination, and an education. Growing up the son of an immigrant bartender and two immigrant parents, his scholarships, along with working several jobs, enabled him to go to college and pursue postgraduate work. He earned a bachelor's degree in economics cum laude from Denison University and completed his coursework for a master's of public policy from the Graduate School of Public and International Affairs at the University of Pittsburgh. Now I'll turn it over to Steve Goldstein to continue with Ralph's introduction.
Thank you, Rupesh. Ralph has been a leader at Evercore since 2009 when he joined our independent investment bank as president and chief executive officer. Ralph has had a distinguished career spanning both the finance industry and the public sector. Before joining Evercore, he was the chief executive officer of Highview Investment Group, an alternative investment management firm. Prior to forming Highview, Ralph was a co-founder and president of BlackRock, the largest asset management firm in the world. Ralph was director when BlackRock went public in 1999, chairing its management committee and serving on its executive and investment committees. Before founding BlackRock, Ralph was a managing director in investment banking at Lehman Brothers. On the public side, Ralph spent several years working for the federal government, initially as a deputy to the Assistant Secretary of the Treasury Department. He was Associate Director of the White House Domestic Policy Staff, where he advised the Carter administration on urban policy, economic development, and housing issues, as well as the Chrysler Loan Guarantee Program. Ralph began his career as an economist for the Congressional Joint Economic Committee. In addition to his tremendously impressive resume, Ralph has also generously donated countless hours of his time, given back as a trustee, for the New Visions for Public Schools, for the Lincoln Center for Performing Arts, for Denison University, for Trinity School in New York City, for the American Museum of Natural History, and the Public Theater in New York City. Finally, Ralph is also a member of the Council on Foreign Relations. Ralph exemplifies Evercore's commitment to treating our clients and coworkers with dignity and respect. Ralph, your generosity is inspiring. As our 2020 Dream Big honoree, we celebrate your outstanding support for young people who, like you, dream big. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to the spotlight Soledad O'Brien, and raise your glasses to Evercore and Mr. Ralph Schlosstein.
Thanks very much.
Now we do have Ralph on a technical difficulty here, so I have him by phone. I know there's an issue with the video for people getting in, but Ralph, we're going to give this a shot. So Soledad, I guess this is what they call show business, but Ralph is here for you.
I'm very excited, and congratulations to you. And we're going to do this just like a TV live shot. I'd love to, since we don't have a stage and we don't have you in person, and most of us are in our own homes anyway, instead of having you give a speech, I was hoping, Ralph, that I could just ask you some questions and kind of have you fill in a little bit of your background. And maybe this would be a good way to give some more insight to everybody who's watching today, maybe particularly the young people who are watching as well.
That sounds great. Okay. Fantastic. Before you do that, will you give me 30 seconds to thank my colleagues, Steve Goldstein and Rupesh Shah, for their overly generous introductions and for their terrific contributions to the Futures and Options as directors. Also, a special thanks to Steve Hessler, the Futures and Options Board of Directors, the Advisory Council, and team for your leadership in opening doors for professional careers for New York City high school students and perseverance in these unprecedented times. There's nothing more important for those of us who are fortunate than to provide meaningful employment and educational opportunities for those who are less fortunate than we are. So I'm done with my thanks. So have at it, Soledad.
Your story is clearly impressive, and I think it's one that many Futures and Options students and even the alums as well can relate to. So I want to start with more about your backstory. Talk a little bit about your education and your career path. Were you a focused kid? Did you hit obstacles that you had to overcome? How did you overcome them?
Well, I was very lucky. Both my parents were immigrants from Germany. My father was a bartender. My mother was a nursery school teacher. The two of them together never made more than $10,000 a year, but they valued education. And so I lived in we were the only Jews in an all Irish Catholic, Italian Catholic, working class neighborhood. First 3 years I went to the local school. And then in Philadelphia, they started a magnet school from 4th grade on. And my parents sent me two buses and a subway, hour and 15-minute commute when I was 8 years old, because it was the best education in the city. And then I went to a high school that was the equivalent of Stuyvesant or Bronx High School of Science. So I was always sent to the best education, even though we had no money. And I worked from age 8 on. At age 8, I started delivering papers. At age 11, I caddied. From age 16, as soon as I was of the legal working age, I worked on the floor of the Philadelphia, Baltimore, Washington Stock Exchange. And so it's honestly a combination of some luck, always, hard work, and really putting a huge value on education.
By the time you got into high school, were there mentors who were giving you insight and advice about steps to college and beyond? Were you already thinking career? How were you sort of shaping your future?
I'll tell you a funny story. The high school that I went to was a terrific high school, but we didn't have a college counselor. We had 3 bookshelves with college catalogs. So I read every one of those, and we lived right in the city, so I picked 3 schools, Williams, Middlebury, and Denison. Applied to all 3, got into all 3, and I went to Denison because they gave me $100 more a year in scholarship, even though if I'd had a college counselor, they would have told me Williams is a better school. But my mentors, interestingly, were outside of high school. They were in my jobs. And the first job I had when I was working age was on the floor of the Philadelphia, Baltimore, Washington Stock Exchange. And I worked for a firm that was headed by 2 70-year-old men. And in the business they were in, people would come over all day long and say, what do you bid for 100 shares of telephone stock, or what can I sell it for? And they were completely different. They were not actually friends outside of workplace, but they respected each other so much that whatever the first one said, that was gospel. And, they helped me, encouraged me to go to college, to go to graduate school. I worked there every summer while I was in college. But they also taught me, respect for each other. One of them was a very religious Catholic. The other one was an Orthodox Jew. And they worked together every day on that floor for probably 40 years and never disagreed with each other.
What do you think is the correlation between success and education? Like, is there something that's predictive in your mind? Often people talk about grit, or they talk about resilience. What do you think it is?
I think grit and resilience are really important. You can have the best education in the world, and if you think you're entitled to the next step rather than that you have to earn it, or you have to bounce back if you've had a little bit of a setback, you'll never achieve the maximum that you're capable of achieving. And I'm one of these people who believes that the moon is the top for everyone, and that it's all about putting in the effort and bouncing back. And you need a little bit of luck. And we also have to recognize in our society, I've had this discussion with my daughter for several years now, where she told me that I had benefited from white privilege. And I'd look at her and I'd say, Kate, you're the one who benefited from white privilege. Look at what you grew up in. But I have to say that, the events of the last, few months and few years have certainly demonstrated to me that, I had opportunities that, traditionally underrepresented minorities, African American, Hispanic American, just wouldn't have had. And so as a society, we have to bend over extra hard to make sure that they get every single chance that they can have.
Talk to me a little bit about Evercore's values and the culture of diversity, and how the firm itself thinks about hiring diverse candidates and supporting diverse candidates as well. Why does it matter? Why is that a value for the organization?
Well, I think the case for doing that starts with a really strong business case. And that business case has, in my view, three legs to that stool. One is, we're in a talent business. That's all we have. we don't make loans. We sell our ideas and our intellectual capital. So we would be crazy as a business if what we're trying to do is find the best people in the country and in the world, if we didn't draw from the entire pool of labor and just pick, Caucasians or just pick males. We would be depriving the firm and our clients of, a good portion of the best talent in the world. The second thing is that a lot of what we do is in teams where we sit around in a room with 5 or 6 or 7 people, and we try and diagnose what's the challenge that our client faces and different ideas that we can help solve that. If you've got 7 people in the room, all of whom have the same background and the same perspective, you miss out on a lot of ideas and perspectives that would be extraordinarily helpful to the client. And then finally, our clients, thankfully, increasingly are diverse. And so we show up at a meeting with the executive team from a client, and it looks like America. And if we show up with 5 white guys, that is not a good way to connect with the client. So that's the business case. And then I think I go back to what I said earlier. There's no question that there are people in our society, despite the best efforts, who haven't been given the same opportunities that I had. I mean, I had a perfect upbringing. We just didn't have any money. But there are plenty of people in the same economic circumstance who didn't have anywhere near the opportunities that I had. I got to work on the floor of the Philadelphia Stock Exchange because my father worked in a bar in an apartment building, and then the partner in that firm lived in that apartment building and would have a drink at the bar every once in a while. And so that's how I got the job. And so there are plenty of people who are just as skilled as I, but who wouldn't have had that opportunity. So I think once again, the societal argument is just as strong as the big business argument.
Why has social justice become so important to your organization?
Well, I think 5 years ago, if you were the CEO of a public company, your job was basically to create value for the shareholders. And, over the last 3 to 5 years, there's been a tremendous evolution, and a very positive one in my view, in which corporations aren't just responsible for making money for their shareholders, but they're responsible for, providing help to the communities in which they live, providing, thinking about how they can contribute to the environment and the health and safety of our society for generations to come. And, here again, I think the widening of the gap between income and net worth between those who have and who are less fortunate is, to me, one of the probably the single most corrosive thing in our society. And if you look back over centuries, civilizations and societies that fell apart, they often fell apart because there was a handful of people, or a very small number of people, who did very, very well, and the rest of the society didn't do as well. And I think that's an incredibly corrosive thing for our country, and that's why social justice, I think, is just one of the fundamental things that every corporation should worry about.
I'm always fascinated by what motivates leaders. So my final question for you is, what would you describe as your motivation, both kind of in what you're doing in your work and also in what you do in your philanthropy and all that you give back to society in?
Well, the work, we do things that are, that help businesses grow. But, I would never say that when I spent 7 years in Washington, I woke up every morning thinking that I was doing good for the country. Now, I may have been right or wrong, but I at least believe that. I don't wake up every morning as the CEO of Evercore thinking I'm doing good for the country. The satisfaction in that is more like in a sports-like, thrill from winning, which is why I think so many of us, including Rupesh and Steve, look for real satisfaction and giving back, both a little bit in the work, but much more outside of work. I mean, my single most inspiring morning every year is when my wife and I and a couple of the senior people at New Visions interview the 10 finalists from the public schools that we support for the scholarships that my wife and I support. And what happens is, and these kids are just unbelievable. I mean, they come from all over the world. Many of them are, immigrants themselves. They're first generation Americans. I was telling Steve earlier today about a scholarship that we gave to a young woman who grew up in a village of 240 people in Bangladesh, came to the United States for 9th grade, and by 12th grade, she was the valedictorian of her class, and she went on to Dartmouth. And so what we do is we give them scholarships so that they can afford to go to the very best schools that they get into. And, honestly, meeting these 10 kids, and we always say we're going to give 5 scholarships, and we can never eliminate one person. It's just so inspiring. Best morning of my life every year.
I love it. I love it. Well, congratulations to you. And a big thank you. I'll speak on behalf of everyone because you consistently, obviously, step up and demonstrate your faith in young people, your faith in Futures and Options mission, and of course, Evercore's commitment to bringing more opportunities to those kids. And we obviously need more leaders like you and your courage, I think, as well, to fight for racial and economic justice for people and providing inspiration to other people in the business community, moving from just, shareholder value to shareholder and stakeholder value. I think that's really, really critical. And of course, helping Futures and Options reach more young people who deserve, to move into the economic mainstream. So congratulations to you.
Great. Thank you so much. And I hope we can all be together next year in the same room.
We would love that. We're now excited to present the Barbara L. Christen Scholarships to this year's deserving high school seniors. Now, these young people have distinguished themselves in Futures and Options programs and are now anticipating their next step in their education and career path, college. Futures and Options Junior Board supports this college scholarship fund through its annual fundraiser, which is called A Toast to Brighter Futures, and we thank them for their amazing support. Since 2012, 31 Futures and Options high school seniors have received college scholarships. These young people attend or have graduated from some of the country's finest schools like Yale and Holy Cross, BU, Harvey Mudd College, University of Pennsylvania. The list goes on and on and on. And so it is now my pleasure to introduce to you Futures and Options board member Lisa Grushkin, who's going to introduce you to this year's Barbara L. Christen Scholarship finalists.
Thank you so much, Soledad, and good evening, everyone. This year, 63 high school seniors applied for our college scholarships. Members of the board and advisory council are the judges and look to recognize young men or women who embody the hallmarks of Futures and Options students: professionalism, leadership, teamwork, communication, integrity, and an interest in exploring careers. This year, we have 3 impressive finalists who I am pleased to introduce. Farrukh Abdinov, who came to the United States at the age of 14, is a senior at James Madison High School and a 2018 Career Essentials participant. He wants to be a computer scientist because information technology enables individuals to solve real-world issues in one of the most practical ways possible. His dream is to receive a bachelor's degree in computer science from a top STEM university like Carnegie Mellon University or Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. Mashiha Chowdhury is a senior at Beacon High School, and she's a Bengali American who was born and raised in the Bronx. In school, she is the leader of the Asian Student Union and a participant in Sponsors for Educational Opportunity Scholars. She was a Futures and Options intern at the Tourette Association of America, which piqued her interest in clinical psychology. She wants to study clinical psychology in college and hopes to conduct research in different therapies to promote patients' mental well-being. And finally, Jovenson Jerome, a senior at New Vision's Charter High School for the Humanities, who participated in Career Essentials. He immigrated to America approximately 3 months before starting high school with little knowledge of the English language. Now he is the president of the Student Ambassador Club and the National Honor Society chapter at his school. He aspires to be an entrepreneur and build his own company so immigrant children like himself will have someone to look up to in the future. Congratulations to each of you on being selected as finalists this year. You will each receive a $1,000 college scholarship. Your success so far is really just the beginning. We so look forward to hearing about your college choices and more as you travel down your own pathways. And with that, please welcome my fellow board member, Ann Benedict, who will present this year's Barbara L. Christen Scholar Mariam Touray with her scholarship.
Thanks, Lisa. I'm tremendously pleased to announce our 2020 Barbara L. Christen Scholar, Mariam Touray. Mariam, who hails from the Bronx, is a senior at the Laboratory School of Finance and Technology and a participant in Sponsors for Educational Opportunity Scholars. She is active in multiple after-school programs, and while maintaining a 4.0 GPA, Mariam enjoys reading books, hair braiding, and one of her personal goals is to learn more languages. She joined Futures and Options this summer, where she learned the importance of professionalism and how to create a LinkedIn account, how to write a cover letter, and how to improve her resume. In college, Mariam plans to major in a STEM field and minor in public policy. Mariam, congratulations on being named the 2020 Barbara L. Christen Scholar. You will receive a $10,000 college scholarship. Please join me in congratulating this year's scholarship recipients and welcoming Mariam, who will share her thoughts with us.
The late Dr. Christen had a vision when she gifted New York City high schoolers with Futures and Options. That vision was to encourage us to dream big. I thank her for empowering young people like me to fulfill our promise and getting the necessary professional skills that we need. Participating in Futures and Options was one of the best things I chose to do for myself. My parents did their best to educate me, but I wanted and needed to learn more about professionalism. Futures and Options invested hours making sure I was exposed to exactly that. It helped me improve my soft and hard skills from public speaking, teamwork, leadership, utilizing Google Slides, and much more. Most of all, Futures and Options showed me that I can succeed because I have much to offer, and that my identity as an African-American Muslim woman will not be an impediment to my success in both academia and in the corporate world. After I finished Futures Academy, I felt confident in my abilities and skills and furthering my education. And I know I am capable of making changes and bettering my community in myriad ways. In my own community of Mott Haven, I fought the lack of quality school counselors at our public schools. Earlier this year, the city cut funding to Single Shepherd, a program that pairs every middle and high school student in the Bronx and Brooklyn with a dedicated school counselor to support them through college enrollment. I took multiple efforts, which led for the Single Shepherd funding being reinstated. I still send emails to the Committee on Education members, encouraging them to address the lack of quality school counselors at our schools. I am writing an essay on the pivotal role counselors play in students' lives and ways they can help to lessen the educational gap at minority-based schools. I believe it starts with a stable support system beyond just parents and teachers that will mold students into young leaders who recognize their potential. I would like to say some words of gratitude to those who have inspired me to become the person I am today. Thank you to my parents for coming to this country as Gambian immigrants who saw a better life for their children. It is because of their courage that I have access to educational resources like Futures and Options. Thank you to Mr. Garibaldi for connecting me to Futures and Options and bringing countless opportunities to our schools. Special thanks to my guidance counselor, Ms. Patterson, my instructors, Shirley and Kyle, who all believed in me and support my goals and aspirations. I want to congratulate the finalists with me tonight and thank the Barbara L. Christen Scholarship Judges Panel and everyone here tonight for their contributions to Futures and Options. I have made a promise to be the best version of myself and to help others in the future, just like you all have done for me. It is an honor to receive this scholarship, and I know it will make a difference for me in college. Thank you.
Miriam, congratulations. What a fantastic speech, and congratulations, of course, to all of the finalists. Your stories are inspirational. Your futures are obviously bright. I wanted to take a moment to bring you all together and just ask you a couple of questions, if that's okay. And Miriam, we're going to start with you. Why don't you tell us one of the specific things that you learned in your time with Futures and Options that you would say changed your life?
Futures and Options taught me that there's no recipe for success other than having agency and being committed. And this is what molded me into being the self-driven individual that I am today. If I want something, I know I have to work for it. And even if I have supporters, I still have to have the drive to work hard to achieve those goals that I have set for myself. And these are the skills that I would definitely need when I'm in college and beyond. I know that no dream will ever be too small or too hard. I just have to put the work in.
I love it. I see why you win a scholarship for dreaming big. Congratulations to you, Miriam. Really fantastic. Jovenson, I'd love to ask you a question up next. You were born and raised in Haiti, moved to America, we heard, right before high school. When you look back at your high school career, what would you say is your proudest accomplishment?
My proudest accomplishment, I would say, is being able to speak the English language in a short period of time. Because as I said, I came to America 3 months before attending high school. So when I came, I didn't know how to speak English, and also I didn't really know how the school system worked. So this is one of my accomplishments because it shows that I can do whatever I want if I really put my mind to it. And I would like to add on to my proudest accomplishment because I also have another one, which is being able to adapt to the new culture that I was being exposed to. Not only the American culture, but also the many culture that America has. And this helped me to expand my horizon and also become aware of the world around me.
Wow, fantastic. Yeah, being able to quickly pick up a language that you can navigate high school, being able to quickly adapt to a new culture and coming through successfully, that is quite an amazing accomplishment. So congratulations to you.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. Mashiha, during your time at Futures and Options, you interned at the Tourette Association of America. Tell us a little bit about that internship and what did you find in that internship that led to your interest in clinical psychology?
While I was an intern at Tourette's Association of America, I reached out to school administrators and health officials to raise awareness about Tourette's syndrome. And so I sent out educational books and DVDs to poor communities in different states that otherwise would not have access to this. It showed me that I want to continue helping people with mental disorders and psychologically based dysfunctions in impoverished communities like the Bronx, which is where I'm from. I would like to study the health status of a person of color and how racism can lead to disparities related to lifespan, death rates, and illness. Working in my Bronx community is my way of giving back, since it has helped shape who I am today and who I will be in the future.
Wow, amazing. Having an internship really opened up a whole, wide world for you. So congratulations to you.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. Farrukh, your accomplishments in STEM are already very impressive. Tell us a little bit about your work at the NYU Center for Advanced Telecommunication Technology, Farrukh.
In the summer of 2019, I participated in a RISE program at NYU Tandon School of Engineering. In that program that was meant for young STEM enthusiasts, I joined NYU Center of Telecommunication for Advanced Technology. And during the program, I worked on a project about 5G connected vehicles. It's a technology that has the potential to prevent over 25 fatal accidents over a period of time. After the program, I managed to secure a position at CAT Labs, so I continued my work on that technology, and as of October 8th, I have submitted my first scientific paper to IEEE National Vehicular Conference.
Wow. Okay, that's remarkable. Congratulations, and congratulations, of course, to all of you for your phenomenal work and your scholarship. And I'm going to ask everybody, I never tell everybody to get off of mute on Zoom, but I'm going to ask everybody to get off of mute on Zoom and give a round of applause for these really, really remarkable young people. I'm going to lead the way. Fantastic. Very, very impressive. Now everybody mute yourselves again. Okay. It's now my great pleasure to introduce to you the steam engine behind this incredible organization, the amazing, the unstoppable Executive Director, Patty Macker. Patty?
Wow, thank you, Soledad. That's quite a description. Well, hello everyone. Thank you for being with us tonight, and congratulations, Miriam, Farrukh, Mashiha, and Jovenson. I want you to know that as you work to achieve your dreams, we are going to be cheering for you all the way. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for zooming in with us tonight and for being patient with our technical difficulties that we didn't expect. I still hope you enjoyed the program. I hope you enjoyed meeting our students and our alums and hearing from our honoree, Ralph Schlosstein, who has an amazing story that is inspiring to everyone who's on this call, I believe. And I think our students can certainly relate to. Soledad, thank you. Thank you very, very much. I know we got connected through Lucy Friedman, and it's just, it's really wonderful to have you here tonight because your presence helps us amplify our Futures and Options impact and its story, and why now it's really so critical to give more kids chances to have early work experience that are life-changing to them. So really sincere thanks for giving us your talent and your time. Omar and Morolake, I know you're in this Zoom room somewhere. You are our treasures for Futures and Options because you are living the dream. You are controlling your destiny, and you are changing your future to be what you want to be. I am captivated by your drive, your optimism, your determination, and of course, your talent. I also, before we end tonight, I have to recognize those who are here with us whose tremendous faith in Futures and Options work actually compels us to keep dreaming big. I'll start with Steve Hessler. Your introduction was spot on, Morolake. He is the driver of Futures and Options, and we are all indebted to Steve for his passion and vision and optimism. Steve, it's been a fabulous ride so far, and we have a lot more ahead of us. Thank you for your remarks this earlier about me. I'm totally overwhelmed. And I am still here kicking, live and kicking, so that's good. But I truly, truly thank you for being our leader and our partner in our charge with Futures and Options. Also, Futures and Options has the best, most committed people on its board and advisory council. And each year when we dream big, which raises almost 40% of our annual budget, each of you steps up. You are always there, rising to the occasion, and there is simply no way for us to adequately thank you. Also, in a little bit of history here, but it's all good. In 2012, Futures and Options, thanks to Steve Hessler's vision, was adopted by the bankruptcy and distressed investment community. And wow, that has been phenomenal. Our Dream Big honorees have included David Johnston of Alex Partners, Steve Goldstein and Rupesh Shah of Evercore, Jason New of Onyx, Thane Carlston of Moelis & Company, Dan Pombo of JP Morgan, Dave Tricano of BlackRock, and Dave Miller of Elliott, all who are now members of our board of directors. And each year, they make a targeted push to generate support from their colleagues for Dream Big. The results speak for themselves. Just this year, more than 75 funds, banks, financial advisors, and law firms from the restructuring and distressed investing space contributed more than $820,000 to Dream Big. This industry has a huge heart, and our gratitude for their tremendous generosity is endless. Also, to each and every one of our sponsors and donors, many who generously support Dream Big year in and year out, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. There are so many people who are behind the success of Dream Big and Futures and Options, including, of course, our fabulously dedicated staff. I also want to give special thanks to Josette Chong and her boyfriend, Umberto Machine, for their support of Futures and Options and tonight's This is Futures and Options video. And also to Elizabeth Hummer, a talented director and producer who created our pre-recorded sections of tonight, and her team. Thank you both. Thank you all. Potential and promise. That is exactly what we see in our young people. And we see their resilience every day. Futures and Options is action-driven. And to carry out our mission, we rely on like-minded people and business leaders like you who step up to provide financial support and internships that expand career pathways for talented young people. With you by our side, we can make the difference we yearn to see in our communities, opening doors of opportunity, providing access to the economic mainstream, and building tomorrow's workforce. Before I introduce our final guest, who's very special, I want to invite you to join us after the program in the Zoom reception rooms. And my fingers are crossed that these are working. But please join me in welcoming one of our promising young students, Ruth Kendall, a high school senior who aims to be a Futures and Options intern this fall. Ruth, thank you for inspiring us all to reach for the stars and be the best that we can be.
Each day I live, I want to be a day to give the best of me. I only want, but not alone. My finest day is yet unknown. I broke my heart, bought every weekend to taste the sweet. I face the pain, I rise and fall, yet through it all, this much remains. I want one moment in time, when I'm more than I thought I could be. When when all of my dreams are a heartbeat away, and the answers are all up to me. Give me one moment in time when I'm racing with destiny. Then in that one moment of time, I will feel